Good morning, everyone. It's good to see you. Thanks for your patience while we were taking care of some technical difficulties that seem to always pop up with our computers and Zoom and other programs we're trying to use on our these days. It's sometimes seems like they don't want to cooperate when they have the day before, and then something goes awry. So welcome. It's good to see you. I'm Kyle Dameron. I'm associate pastor of worship, arts, music here at Kirkwood Baptist in St. Louis, and thawing out this week. I think a lot of us are thawing out across the country this week. At least those of us west of the Mississippi got hit hard here. So, I want to introduce to you, if you don't know our presenter in this first half hour today, I want to introduce you to R.G. Huff, who is a semi-retired from 40 plus years of music ministry in local churches in Texas and Colorado and Missouri, where I am, and North Carolina, and most recently serving at University Baptist Church in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. A native of Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, RG went to high school with Dolly Parton, his only near claim to fame. And he graduated from Carson Newman University with a major in biblical studies and minors in music and art. He holds a master's of church music from Southwestern Seminary in Fort Worth. And as a published hymn writer, he is an avid supporter of traditional congregational singing. His devotional book, Hymn Lines, was recently published through Amazon. And RG is also a lyricist and has written extensively for professional magazines. He's an adjunct professor in the School of Fine Arts at Dallas Baptist University. He and his wife, Carlita, live in Waxahachie, Texas, her hometown. And they have 2 adult sons, 2 daughters-in-law, and 4 grandsons. He loves traveling, reading, attending movies and live theater during normal times, and riding roller coasters, which good for you. I only do that for my nephew. RG, you've lived in Missouri. I've just been here for a couple of years, but I've already adopted the state motto, show me. So you've got to show me proof that you knew Dolly in high school and to the group before you get started with your presentation.
Oh, that's where we're going to start.
Okay.
That's
where we must, anyone's bio that has Dolly Parton in it, in my opinion, we start there. We start with Dolly.
I don't have any full-length pictures, but I did indeed go to high school with Dolly Parton. She was a senior when I was a freshman, and we marched together in the drum line in the marching band. So you kind of have to picture that, but we won't go there. But she did march in the drum line, and this is my yearbook, and can you see, let's see, where is she here? You see Dolly? Let's see, where?
You got to raise it up, I think.
Got it?
Move your book a little over.
She actually signed it, you see, and if the house burns down, I take this first and then Carlita second. This is probably the most valuable thing I own, actually.
Carlita's not in the house right now, I take it. She's
right. So we're in good shape. And this is her sister Stella. Stella and I are still friends. Stella and I were most talented in our graduating class. So yeah. So I'm from the sticks. There's no doubt about it. I'm a hillbilly all the way down. So yeah.
RG, I'm going to throw something in. I apologize for interrupting, but I'm a Carson Newman grad too. but I still call it Carson Newman College. I can't do the university thing. I was there a long time ago, and it's Carson Newman College.
Well, I actually called somebody and asked them when I published the book, what am I supposed to put on the cover of the book? And they said, I think you're supposed to put university now because that's what it's called.
That may be what they call it now, but I won't call it that.
When did you graduate?
85.
Okay.
It's been a while ago, but probably after you left.
Yeah, I graduated in 71. So
there you go. All right.
That's the age I am now. So
right. Well, go Eagles.
You got it. Yeah. I was drum major.
I sang in a cappella.
Okay. Was Fester still there?
Sir?
Was Fester still there?
He was leaving. Eric Thorson came the year before I got there. But Fester was still around. It was a lot of fun.
Well, let's just chat for a while. The rest of
that's right. The rest of you can sit back and relax. We got some conversation going here. We actually know some stuff. East Tennessee stuff. Exactly. I'm Cass, by the way.
Nice to meet you. Nice to
meet you too.
So do I take off now, Kyle?
Yes. Yeah, it's all yours. And I'm going to just let me know. I'm going to get your outline and I'm going to share my screen today, everyone, as RG presents. Okay, go ahead.
Appreciate the opportunity of doing this. I was glad to be asked to do this. I want to start off by saying I do have several hymns in print and want to say a couple things just about my philosophy of hymn writing before we get into actually looking at a few hymns. One of the things, of course, that I want to always do is to be biblically sound, theologically sound, and they're not always exactly the same, and to be void of denominational dogma, just to try to avoid denominational dogma. Sometimes that gets in the way, and it also keeps other denominations from using the hymns. During my tenure, I served mostly in Baptist churches, but I was in a Presbyterian church for a while and a Methodist church for a while. So that background kind of geared me away from staying with just Baptist theology and especially Baptist dogma. But one of the things I really try to do with hymn texts is to make them easily understood the first time they're sung. Because if a hymn doesn't really take off and become a regularly sung hymn, it may only be sung once. And if that's the case, the congregation needs to catch it the first time it's sung. If it doesn't become great is thy faithfulness or worthy of worship or whatever, they may only have the opportunity to sing through it once. And because of that, I try to make it easily understandable the first time through. And I really got this from Lewis Ball at Carson Newman when I was there, to make it understandable the first time through. One of my favorite hymns is And Can It Be? But I really still don't know what thine eye diffused a quickening ray means. Every time I get there, I think, I really don't know what that means, but I sing it lustily as if I do. And so because of that, I try to make it understandable the first time through. And my hymns are not devotional in nature, meaning that you don't sit down with it and think it through and think, what was he trying to say here? They're really just meant to be sung and used in worship, for public worship, congregational worship. And I try to do the subjects and the verbs in logical order, so that you don't have to rethink the phrase. You got them in logical order, and no words that require a dictionary, so that when you're right in the middle of singing the thing, you don't have to grab your phone and look it up. And so I keep that in mind, actually. And basically, my hymns are prose that have meter and rhyme. So they're not just poetry, they're prose that have meter and rhyme. I've never taken a class in poetry, probably should, but at 71, I've decided not to go back to school But as a musician, I really do try to make them flow musically, the text flow musically, and then eventually to be set to music. And by the way, everything we're going to look at today, Kyle is going to make available to you in a PDF bundle. So everything that's going to come up on the screen, you're going to have available to you to look at later on. You don't have to make notes. It's kind of like my classes at you. If you're, I will send you the PowerPoint, and so you can look at the notes later on. Okay. One of the things they asked me to do was to talk about a couple of things that have to do with streamed worship or virtual worship. One of the ones that several of you have used already is the hymn for streamed worship. This one I put on Facebook back in the fall, or I think it's spring actually, and several people have used it. In fact, Doug has used this at Wilshire, and it was designed, written, you see in March the 17th, was really designed to be used to remind people that as they worship at home, it's just as holy as worshiping in the sanctuary at the church. And it says that as you look through it, making this a holy place, and talks about social distancing, uses some of that language. I hope that this hymn will go away soon, and we won't have to deal with this kind of thing for much longer. But many of us are. We still are at Wilshire. But hopefully this is one of those hymns that will go away soon. The next one is Protect Us, O God, which I also wrote in the month of March. Well, you're ahead of me.
I'm trying to, yeah, they're just slightly out of order. So I'm trying to.
That's okay. Yeah, I know his files are not in the same order. And this one was designed, can you scroll down just a tad on the screen?
Yes, thank you, Art.
This was also at that same period. This one actually would work anytime, but it was written for the pandemic. So these two, I've done several during this time, but these two are just examples of that. But I tried to pull in some words here that we were using during that time: pestilence, infection, plague, those kind of words. And some people use both of these, but the first one is the one that more people use. And if you're still in the streaming mode, you might still find some use for these two. Okay, now let's move into the Lenten season. During the next few weeks, some of you may still be looking for some Lenten hymns. And so I don't know how far ahead you plan. I think that you all have to plan, those of you who are still involved in online worship, probably have to plan farther ahead than you may have had to sometime earlier, because it just requires that because of all the technology involved. This one is Autograph of Grace. When I first did this one, it was set to the O Sacred Head Thou Wounded tune. And Pete Butler, A.L. Butler, which most of you know this name, Pete did the Redeemed, How I Love to Proclaim It tune. That's the one most of us know him for. But he picked up on this tune, which I had originally set with O Sacred Head, and set it with stanzas and a refrain. But it deals with this, how the scars and the wounds of Christ are indelible, eternal, no power can erase, that signature deep written, the autograph of grace. And each one of the stanzas deal with those different wounds. And this might be something you could use, especially as you get closer. Even might even be used Monday, Thursday, Good Friday. So it's that kind of text. Again, it is quite usable. There is another, in fact, in the ones you're getting, it also has it set to the the O Sacred Head tune if you'd rather use it to a tune that your folks already know. This one would require you printing the tune, which makes it right now makes it a little bit more difficult because you don't have a hymnal or maybe the possibility to do that. But it works very well with the O Sacred Head Thou Wounded, which is what I set it to begin with. Now this next one, Anoint My Head with Oil. You may or may not be able to use this one. I was in a fairly small, the University Baptist Church in Chapel Hill is a small church, and we could do some more intimate things there than maybe you're able to do. This one, we can't sing hymns that say, I have a problem with pornography, or I have a problem with drinking too much, or I use drugs and I shouldn't, or whatever. This one talks about sin symbolically in stanza 2, and it may be a little bit too nitty gritty to use on Sunday morning, but you might be able to use it somewhere during this season with a smaller group, maybe with the choir, but depends on your church. You might be able to use it on Sunday morning. But it talks about matted fleece and vermin, dirt, and briars. I discovered that this anointing, that the anointing that the shepherds did with the oil, had to do. The purpose of that was to kill the vermin in the wool. And I never thought of that being as cleansing and cleaning up. And so using that analogy, I put this together and have used it a couple of times in smaller groups. And I would have used this in Chapel Hill with my congregation. You might not be able to, but it is that kind of analogy. I really like this and have had good results with it when I've used it, because it digs into our real sinfulness and talks about it symbolically, and without admitting the reality of what we really do and who we really are, necessarily. So anyway, come back to me for just a minute, will you?
Yes.
Okay. I have an anthem that came out last year. Actually, it came out just about the time the pandemic came through. It's called "Remember to Forget My Sin." It's probably the most personal of my texts ever, and it was set by Jay Rouse. You probably know that name. But it is really nice for this time of year when we talk about confessing the reality of our sinfulness, and it would work very well as a solo. If you're looking for something, I know that many of us don't have choirs in our churches right now, but it really would work well as a solo. Again, especially during Holy Week or one of those high holy, let's confess our sin kind of times. It would have worked really well last week for Ash Wednesday, but it talks about the reality of the fact that I'm a sinner. Now, can you put up the words for "Remember to Forget My Sin"? Do you see the text there?
I'm trying to find it, RG.
Remember to forget my sin. Do you see that text? I think it's there. I'll read you a little tad of it. Remember to forget my sin. In mercy, set my grievances aside, the errors of my ways, the wasting of my days, hurtful words I've said, hungry mouths unfed, my disobedience, lack of common sense. My soul cries out from deep within. Remember to forget my sin. Remember to forget my sin. Extend your grace to remedy my ill. I'm saddened in my soul, my eyes turned from the goal, fallen off the path, overlooked your wrath, impure in thought, unkind, so self-satisfied, unfazed when evil seemed to win. Remember to forget my sin. Remember to forget my sin. Restore to me the joy I once knew. Provide a clearer mind. All my angst unbind. Show me tenderness. When my life's a mess, your grace will see me through when I look to you. Now hear the words I speak again. Remember to forget my sin. Now I know it sounds like a country text. I think I must have had Dolly Parton on my mind. It sounds kind of like a country text, but it really was something that spoke my own self better than anything I'd ever written. And it was originally a hymn text. And when Jay saw it, he asked if he could set it as an anthem text. But it does work for a solo. So buy one copy and have someone sing it possibly at one of your services. The next one I want to show you is carrying his own cross. This one would work really well, especially during Holy Week. This is set to the King's Weston tune, which most of us know. Hopefully your congregations do. It's At the Name of Jesus, I think, maybe the one that most of you might know this to in most of our hymnals. But it talks about the events of the week, and then it has like a coda at the end that follows the four stanzas, and then it repeats the last two lines. Basically, he accepts the nails, the vinegar, the gall, carrying his own cross. Christ would save us all. So it picks up on all those four stanzas, and then has a little coda of a sorts at the end. I have been in churches that have used this in services where this was used. Works well. It is a kind of a dark tune. It works well with this. It's the D minor tune works well with this, and talks about the various implements that were used during that dark week. And then speaking of Holy Week, let's go to Welcome Your King with Praise. I think we ran out of things to do for Palm Sunday, and one of the things that I've tried to come up with are some ideas to use, and I use the Sing Me Now Christmas, the Noel Nouvelet tune, and have a possibility for a Palm Sunday song. Line the streets to greet him, welcome your king with praise. And so it picks up that lively little Christmas tune, which also is used during the Easter season for Now the Green Blade Riseth. So you may have used it that way already, but it picks up at that time of the year. And I thought of this because my handbells have played Now the Green Blade Riseth during that time of the year, and so it kind of made sense to pull it in to the Easter time, or especially the Palm Sunday time. So if you're looking for something fresh for that Sunday, maybe for a solo, it would really work well for an older children's choir, or an older children's group, or younger youth group, whatever, to sing it, especially during this time when we don't have all of our choirs together rehearsing all the time. It's a tune they already know, and fits it quite well and sings easily. Okay. And then on Good Friday, this is one of my favorite things. We read through this at the Hymn Society that met in Dallas year before last. It's called Hymn for Good Friday. How appropriate, right? There you go. It is the Oh Wally Wally tune in 4. But it has 6 stanzas. That's a lot, but it's very introspective. Heather Sorensen, which some of you know Heather, used this last year at her own church. I watched that service on TV. She sat at the piano and sang it herself, and used all 6 stanzas, and played a 1 measure turnaround between each stanza, just a C major chord turnaround to get from one to the other, and it worked very, very well. She had a cellist added to it, worked very nicely. But it is very introspective, could easily be done with a couple of soloists, maybe even 2 or 3, even 6 soloists for your Good Friday service. I especially like the 5th stanza. I'm tempted now to look away, to let my heart avoid this day. Oh, let me not deny the pain, lest all your torment be in vain. I particularly like that stanza. Sometimes we get to Good Friday and just kind of dance past it, whatever. And I like that particular way that this one speaks. And so hopefully that will be something you can use. Again, it's you have the in most any hymnal has the accompaniment for this one, so you can find that in most any book. But this one really works. I can guarantee this one will work, and you can pick and choose if you don't want to use all 6 stanzas. Okay, and then a couple things. I'm almost done here, I promise. The next one, this one does not have a slide. Come back to me for a second here. This one is old. This is from 2002. Larry Schultz. Some of you know Larry at Fulham in Raleigh. This is on Easter morning. This may be in your children's choir library. It is a delightful little Easter piece, and it works splendidly for 2 sopranos. It has a classical lilt to it, and especially this year because you may not have a choir on Easter Sunday morning. This works really well for 2 sopranos. It's a children's choir piece, but it may be its Choristers Guild on Easter morning. And just want to mention it to you. Larry and I did this together when I was in North Carolina, and it works really well especially for 2 sopranos. So take a look at that one. Now, Easter and Eastertide are hard to come up with things for, and I have 3 things to talk about that real quickly here. One of them is on this Easter morning singing, and I know it's really designed for Easter Sunday. It's the Arhedinos all through the night, whatever you know this one as, and it's designed for Easter Sunday morning. But you really could change the first line to in this Easter season singing, Christ is alive. There's nothing wrong with changing a word or 2, especially when you're printing the words in the bulletin, especially when people like me give you the option of that, or on any hymn that you find in the hymnal that's public domain, change it. I mean, you don't need permission. You're not publishing it. You're just putting it out there for your people to sing on Sunday. So alter a word or 2. But the last stanza of this one would particularly work well for, like, if you're the kind that uses a closing hymn for several Sundays during Eastertide, the last stanza would work very well for that, just as a 1 stanza that you use to close your service for several Sundays. So that one's in your packet. You can look at that. The next one is Hallelujah, Let Us Say. Now, if you're open to singing a Christmas carol tune on Easter Sunday morning, this one works really well. If you don't mind singing Hark the Herald Angels Sing tune on Easter Sunday, I can see all of you curling your noses up but it really does work well. If you're willing to sing a Christmas carol on Easter Sunday morning, this text works really well. Or go find another one that will fit. But I've used this one before. It works well, and people smile when they sing a Christmas carol on Easter Sunday morning. But again, the last stanza, I tend to go toward the last stanza because it's the one people sit down after and think on. And we do not doubt. We are certain this is true. Those kind of things. That's what they sit down remembering, hopefully. And this should come as no surprise. With him, we will surely rise. That's what they sit down remembering, hopefully. So this one really does work. If you're willing to try that and your pastor won't fire you the next morning, give this one a try. It really does work. And then one more is go serve the risen Savior. Again, this is Eastertide.
Sorry, I'm just.
And you're getting a review of a lot of the others here.
Sorry, RG.
That's okay. That's okay.
I thought I had isolated it.
These are all wonderful. I don't mind seeing them again. There you go. This is the He Lives tune. And most of us probably don't sing He Lives anymore. We believe it, but we don't sing it. It's kind of one of those tunes that we've set aside. So I gave a new text to the tune and used it during Eastertide. So it's the stanza and the chorus that most of our people grew up singing, but it is really designed to use for the Sundays after Easter. And so it's a benediction basically for the Sundays again after Easter. So that's a possibility. All right. Now come back to me for a minute and I'll shut up. All right. Then they've asked me, in case the subliminal fact that I have behind me the picture of my cover of my book, in case you didn't catch that, I have a copy of my book here. It's recently published on Amazon. Several people have been using this book in their rehearsals, especially people who have are still doing virtual worships, virtual rehearsals. It is 75 devotionals that are based on just one line from hymns that we all know. They're not all Baptist, they're not all good old Baptist hymns, but they're hymns that I pulled one line from that is significant, just one phrase, one line, and built a devotional on it. There's 75 of them, and several of them are really from this time of year that are more designed for Lent. And so if you'd like to use some of those, you can get the book on Amazon and use those in your rehearsal. It makes a great gift for somebody. I've put a couple of them on your packet. It makes a great gift for somebody that's a hymn lover, your organist, your pianist, somebody that helps you in your ministry. It really does make a nice gift. They're $14, and I think it might be something you might really enjoy sharing with people. Okay. Thank you so much for listening to me. I'm done.
RG, thank you so much. We're going to spend a few minutes in breakout rooms and then come back in 10 minutes for a benediction led by RG. But RG, again, thank you so much for sharing these materials with us. I'll be sending out the PDF file after this meeting, and that you constructed for everyone, put together for everyone. Thank you. We appreciate Hymnwriters and you giving us new words, new expressions, especially with that He Lives. You're right. It's one that I have personally kind of steered away from the last few years, just because it feels overused, but it's nice to have fresh words, fresh text to a familiar tune that everyone loves. So I'm going to pass it on to Doug for a moment to share a little bit about what we're going to do in a couple of weeks while I'm getting the breakout rooms set up. Doug?
Yeah, and again, I want to glom on and say thanks, RG, for sharing your creative words with us today. And I'm proud to say that RG and Carlita are members of Wilshire now, though they live in Waxahachie, which is south of Dallas. And they took that amazing step of becoming those members that joined having never entered our sanctuary. They joined in the middle of this pandemic. So glad you're part of Wilshire, RG. Friends, can you believe that we are coming up on the 1 year of us all navigating this COVID-19 and the pandemic and all the ways that you've had to adapt and adjust to life and to ministry? So we thought in a couple of weeks, when we gather back together, we would just spend some time in conversation about how you're doing, how you've been doing, and how you hope to be doing as we kind of, as this year continues to unfold. Either Kyle or I, between now and the next time we meet, will send out some guiding questions, maybe some prompts for you to consider, so you don't have to just show up and improvise. But we really want to know how you are, how you're faring, and want you to have an opportunity to hear from others about that. So be looking for an email that will give you some guiding questions. It might be the kind of thing you even want to take a couple of minutes and actually write down what you're thinking. There are times I've been so busy, I've hardly had time for any soul work, and that's not good, and that's not sustainable for any of us. So anyway, I hope we'll come together in a couple of weeks as friends, as colleagues, as community, and just have an opportunity for conversation. Think about where we've been and where we hope to be as the months unfold. So hope you'll be back in 2 weeks for that.
Thank you, Doug. And I'm going to open all the 2 rooms now and let y'all just catch up. I know RG, someone in particular wanted to connect with you today because of some mutual connections. And so I said we could do that in the breakout rooms. So just give you a heads up about that. And he'll introduce himself. It's Chip. And so I'll see you and we'll gather back in about 10 minutes to briefly conclude and be done by 10:55. Okay.